Hi everyone, welcome back to Fastcuts. Today we are going to recap a 2015 horror thriller movie directed by Terry Miles, titled Even Lambs Have Teeth. This movie explores the horrors and up to which extent people will go in order to survive. So without any further ado, let's get back to the movie. The movie opens with a display of a picturesque American village where Katie resides. Along with some of her friends, she is holding a celebration. At present, their high school years have come to an end. Afterwards, the party commences. One of the people in the group offers drugs to everyone, disguised in paper. Despite declining initially, Katie eventually gives in to peer pressure and consumes the drugs. Afterwards, they are depicted enjoying beer and having a great time. The subsequent scene depicts Katie entering her house after a party, where her mother is cooking. Along with Katie, her friend Sloane, who is also a classmate, is present. Sloane stays at Katie's house as it is located close to their campus. The next day, Katie and Sloane leave the house to say goodbye to their mother and visit an organic farm. They are joined by Katie's uncle Lucas, who is waiting outside in his car. They plan to stay at Lucas's house before visiting the organic farm. During the drive, Sloane engages in conversation with Lucas, who, despite not being very old, is referred to as Uncle. Lucas is also revealed to be an FBI agent. After some time, they finally reach Lucas's house where they meet his girlfriend Gemma. They quickly get to know Katie and Sloane. The latter two then proceed to get ready for bed, while planning what to do within the organic farm. They then decide to change their names to Heather and Ripley respectively, so they can attract the skinny guys on the farm. The next day, Lucas takes them to a nearby bus stop that buses to the organic farm often pass by. They go to a nearby shop to wait for the bus, while Lucas goes to attend to some work. At the shop, they see two short guys pass by in a pickup truck. Before leaving, Lucas instructs Katie to text him using a code that involves the name of fruits at the end of each message. Later on, they go to a restaurant where Sloane uses the bathroom. The two guys they saw earlier approach Katie while she is waiting. They are introduced to each other, and Katie and Sloane reveal their false names. The guys named Vince and Lucas are wearing black shirts and offer to give them a ride to the farm, as they work there as gardeners. Although Katie declines, Sloane convinces her to go with them. However, during the journey, Sloane realizes that they are taking a different route. She alerts Vince, who then takes them to a house, claiming it is a farm to pick up supplies. They meet Vince and Lucas's mother, who welcomes them inside for coffee and cake. After some time, Katie's phone receives a text from Lucas. The two women consumed coffee mixed with drugs, causing them to lose consciousness. The scene then shifts to a large forest where Katie and Sloane, who are wearing only their undergarments and have their hands tied with chains, are shouting for help. Vince, who is involved in trafficking young women, tells them that no one will come to rescue. Boris, the boss of the operation, arrives and beats Vince for interacting with the girls. Boris then questions Katie about her name and finds a message from Lucas on her phone. Sloane reveals that the word apple in the message is a code. Boris texts Lucas using Katie's phone to make it appear as if Katie is sending the message. Gemma discovers a message from Lucas's phone and chooses not to interfere, leaving the phone where it is. In the next scene, Katie and Sloane are showering outside a container when a policeman named Andrew arrives with a gun. They are relieved to see him and ask him to shoot the kidnappers, but they are surprised when they realize that Andrew is also part of the team. Despite their pleas, Lucas loads them back into the container. Sloane tries to comfort Katie, and Lucas goes to Gemma asking about his phone. Gemma informs him that his niece texted saying she is fine, but Lucas is skeptical as the code language was not followed correctly. In another scene, a customer selects Sloane to sleep with, but Katie intervenes. Meanwhile, Lucas is searching for information about Katie and Sloane, but Gemma wants him to go home with her. Back in the jungle, Katie and Sloane hear a strange noise and are frightened when a customer with a pig mask approaches them. Later, Lucas goes to the police station to report the kidnapping, but is met with skepticism from Sheriff Andrews, who tries to convince him the girls are on a trip with friends. However, Lucas insists they were kidnapped and has evidence in the form of incorrect use of the coded language. Boris confronts Katie, accusing her of giving him the wrong code and threatening her with consequences. He then discusses with Vince about what to do next, mentioning the presence of an FBI agent and being told by Sheriff Andrews to kill Katie and Sloane. Meanwhile, Lucas visits the restaurant where Katie and Sloane met with Vince and Lucas and gathers information from the accountant about the two boys with them. The accountant doesn't recognize them but mentions seeing a blue pickup. Lucas sets out to find the owner of the vehicle. In the meantime, Katie and Sloan are locked in a container and devise a plan to escape. They seduce the curly-haired man guarding them and bite his neck, killing him and taking the key from his pocket to escape. Sheriff Andrews arrives shortly after and finds the curly-haired man dead, with Katie and Sloan having already escaped in his car. They drive away and pick up weapons from a supermarket, seeking revenge on those who wronged them. They then sneak up on Boris at his home, knock him unconscious, and tie him up to a dinner table, threatening to kill him. Boris pleads for his life and offers them money. Lucas arrives at Boris's house to find out who owns the blue pickup truck. He receives a call from Jama and talks to her without leaving his car. Inside the house, Boris begs for his life, but is killed by Katie and Sloan after declining to reveal the identity of the pig-masked man. Lucas hears the commotion and goes inside the house to find Boris dying. He takes Boris to the hospital and meets Sheriff Andrews, who is the local police officer. He later realizes that Sheriff Andrews is the one who kidnapped Katie and Sloan. Katie and Sloan later arrive at a church and confront the priest in a black coat, who was the customer with a pig face. They knock him out and tie him up, dragging him behind the car. They then go to a shop to buy cigarettes and light one to set the priest on fire. They continue their journey, looking for their next victim. Sheriff Andrews takes Lucas to his house and ties him to a chair in a room. Lucas asks about Katie, but Sheriff Andrews leaves the room without answering, saying he will kill Lucas. Lucas later sees Sheriff Andrews enter another room with two kidnapped girls and wonders how he will escape. Katie and Sloan drove in the car and picked up two girls who also became entangled in the racket. When they reach Sheriff Andrews, they hit him and tie him to a chair. Despite his pleas, they kill him with his own gun. The other two girls are frightened by this, but Katie and Sloan untie them and leave. Unbeknownst to them, Lucas was in the next room and is eventually freed by the two girls. Lucas inquires about the gunshot and is led to believe that Katie and Sloan are the rescuers. In the next scene, Vince and Lucas's mother is depicted as being at home, where she is seen sitting and drinking. Suddenly, she faints and falls to the ground, as Katie and Sloan had spiked her drink with drugs. When she regains consciousness, she finds herself tied to a chair, with Vince similarly bound nearby. The woman pleads with Katie and Sloan, offering to give them anything they want, but they ignore her and begin beating Vince with a stick. She sobs as she watches this. They then reveal Lucas, who is also tied to a chair in another room, and tell him they will release him if he kills his mother. Although he unties himself, he cannot bring himself to kill his mother, so Sloan shoots and kills him. They then wipe their fingerprints off the gun and place it in Lucas's hand. They then take a lawnmower and mutilate the face of the mother and eliminate all of their enemies in a single day. A few days later, Lucas arrives at Katie's house, and the case is closed with no evidence against Katie and Sloan for their murders. Lucas speaks with Katie's mother, and Katie and Sloan are preparing to go on a trip to a New York museum. They say goodbye to their mother and Lucas and leave for the airport. At the airport, they encounter a man holding a sign for an organic farm, and the story ends. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more content like this.